Cities where river meets the sky. Bridges sing our stories as the centuries go by. From Davenport's new skyline to Rock Island's steady beat, music makes the history flowing underneath your feet.
What I love about the Quad Cities is just that you can get a really different and genuine experience in each of the places, and they all kind of thrive on different things.
Every consultant that ever leaves here comes in thinking they're going to tell us who we're like, and they end up leaving going, yeah, you guys really are pretty unique.
Global home of John Deere. You know, we invented chiropractic medicine, but we also invented taco pizza. And the computer, and NFL football originated here in Rock Island, Illinois, and all of these things that really make up the Quad Cities. Quad Cities is known for a lot of amazing people. You know, people like, Big Spiderback and John Deere, Lizzie, Scott Beck, Brian Woods, like all of these people that are from the QC.
Being smack dab in the middle of the United States, I can get anywhere I want to be. And this Quad City community that we live in, the river being that piece in the middle that puts us all together, and being here on the river, being able to walk that river, enjoy it, there's nothing like it.
Mississippi, where we're east-west, not north-south, where the river flows. And for centuries, this has been a very special place for people to live. There is something magical about it.
It does have a community feel. It doesn't feel like you just live in Davenport. It feels like you live in the Quad Cities.
Molene's got the legacy John Deere still provides. Heartbeat of the farmland that was forged in steel and pride. The water tells our story as it shimmers and it flows. Quad Cities is a song we're singing. Here is how it goes. Welcome to Quad Cities, where legends live and shine. Every step's a melody and moments are divine. Let our pride and history be guide for you tonight. Welcome to Quad Cities, come and join me on this ride.
Alternating currents is an opportunity for the Quad Cities to really show off, specifically in our downtowns.
I think it's one of those events that really has a long-lasting impact.
Our story is so critically important to what we're trying to do every day, and alternating currents is really a catalyst for that story. And so that economic development factor built in and around resident pride and just getting people excited about what you have to offer as a community is really the secret sauce behind alternating currents and why we love it so much.
Welcome to Quad Cities, where our hearts and dreams collide.
We're gonna have a good time. Really a good time. Having some good times. Good times. A really, really good time. A real good time. We're having a good time. A good time. Talking about good times. Really good times. Yes, we're having some good times. Good times.
I've been a lot of places, a lot of different places. This is one of the most talented places in the country, by far. And everybody, there's always a Quad City person somewhere doing something.
Hello.
Hi.
What is your name and where are you from?
My name is Charlotte Boyer. I'm 17 years old and I'm from Rock Island, Illinois.
I think that we have a little je ne sais quoi, a little special character of being a Midwest river roots type of area.
This is a tremendous community in terms of jazz and blues and all of the music that has originated up and down the Mississippi. And what we learned was that as that music was being brought up by talented musicians up the Mississippi, that this was the jumping off point where they would leave the steamboats and travel by train into Chicago, where river music was popularized throughout the world and began to influence musicians globally. And so there's a really strong connection between the Quad Cities and this music heritage.
Good times.
I think it's more rich than many places that I've been to who are touted for their great cultural aspects.
I've been, both in the Brooklyn scene and the San Francisco Bay Area scene, which they get inundated with a lot of bands that get highly competitive, where here people certainly seem to want to help each other more.
Because it has such a small town feel to it, everybody ends up running into each other at different locations, different events, and so there's always a level of collaboration. So it doesn't seem to matter what particular genre you like to create in, everyone just is happy to do it and working together to make that happen, and that's not something I've experienced everywhere.
From just a quality of life point of view, the Quad Cities really, for me specifically, has embraced the arts as something that drives decision making at the highest levels of how you develop a community.
And that's because it helps create a community that means something to people, where they want to be involved and where they see that the things that they value are important to others as well.
A lot of people come into Davenport, consultants, businesses, folks that I deal with as a city councilman, and one of the things they say is they can't believe that a city our size has the cultural amenities that we have in our downtown, that they look at the Figge Art Museum and say, wow, this is a museum we'd expect to see in a much bigger city, and the fact that we have so much music, live music in our downtown is also pretty incredible. So I would say it really makes for a vibrant city. It's a place where when people come to the Quad Cities, they say, I could live here because there's a lot of things to do and a lot of culture, and there's just a great scene.
We specifically chose Downtown Davenport when we were looking to move because it is so walkable and so much fun. I mean, we make a Saturday morning of walking down to the farmer's market and then just walking back down towards the picture house, having a drink, go get a slice of pizza, and then go home. And that's just, even if you don't do anything else, that's a great day. And it just feels like in the last couple of years, every new business that comes down is something exciting or something different that we didn't already have. And so it feels like you're living in a larger city, even though it's still just good old Davenport.
When visitors come to communities, they want a walkable experience. They just do. They want to be able to, experience something that's going to emotionally connect with them that they're looking for, and that could be food, that could be spirits, that could be arts, culture, entertainment. It could be whatever that is that they're looking for, but they need to have a healthy, growing, vibrant downtown.
Downtown, where the working week is dead. Downtown, got a weekend in my head. The night is on the move, you gotta find your groove. Downtown is the only place to be. Yeah, the city comes alive. It's a feeling, it's a vibe. Downtown, baby, you and me.
I think downtowns are always interesting in every city, whether it's a 300 population. Like, I want to see the downtown no matter where it is.
You have to realize about the downtown that in the 1940s and 50s, this was one of the most bustling cities in the Midwest. It was pretty incredible.
I think the older generations remember what the downtown used to be. I have a lot of those gentlemen and ladies that come in here and tell me about things that were actually going on downtown. And when you think about the industry in this area, most people don't put two and two together. I mean, we were as big as when the big three were in, Detroit, when basically Ford was running Detroit, if you think about it.
The Quad Cities could have been like Detroit. We had Veely here. We had several other manufacturers here in the Davenport area. But it's a very significant place for automobile history.
36 car dealers were downtown in a 4-block radius. I mean, that's just amazing to think about.
Everything was downtown in downtown Davenport. That was the hub of everything.
It's like 60,000 cars a day that were passing through 3rd and 4th Street. So the number of people that were downtown was really incredible. And so when suburban sprawl happened in the 1960s and 70s, you saw a lot of those people move out of the downtown and head into the suburbs of the city. And the downtown went into depression.
it was in a really, really bad space. In fact, we didn't even come downtown. It wasn't deemed safe to come downtown. And so we spent a lot of our time in the East Village or going over to the District of Rock Island. But downtown Davenport, we would just skip over, even though that's the place that we lived.
Well, I'm on the Iowa side. It was always kind of embarrassing, you know. You never took much pride. Like I remember I would go out of town and I would tell people I was from Iowa, and they would say, "You mean Ohio?"
So, long before my time on the city council, there were people who knew what the downtown used to be and knew what it could be. And they said, look, we have to make an effort to revitalize the downtown.
Every downtown across the country is trying to figure out, how do we turn people back to downtown instead of to the cookie cutter retail area out on the edge of town or wherever it might be.
And we worked with the city and tried to think about what we could do as a community to attract people and keep people in the workforce, and also renovate downtown, building on what had already been done in the 90s. So we got together and formulated a plan, and we thought the arts and culture element was going to be significant in maintaining and attracting people.
And we thought, well, what better way to try and accomplish a number of things: revitalize the downtown, make our area more appealing to young people, to educate people in the realm of music, both about our history and about their future in music. So there's a confluence of ideas that led to the birth of the original River Music Experience.
One of the discussions early on was, we have this beautiful old building here, and very visionary people said, why don't we use this building for that purpose? It brought a whole new group of people downtown that otherwise may not have been here. They weren't working downtown.
I grew up in a small river town north of here, and my engagement with the Quad Cities Metro is, we would go to North Park Mall. My parents would take me to the Blues Fest in LeClaire Park. And outside of that, I really didn't have a lot of interaction with the city. I don't really know what was in Davenport, when I was in high school. I had come downtown during college for Bix, and I stood on the corner of 2nd and Main and looked at a banner for River Music Experience. And it was the first time that I ever thought, maybe I could build a career here, because my impression growing up was that there was no art scene. Sure, the Figgy had just been built and it's an amazing cultural institution and museum, but I was really into music and I didn't really feel like there was a scene here. And so now seeing it grow even just the last decade, and the people that have invested time and resources into this, it's completely different than it was when I was growing up.
And so in 2015, when we were ready to open up our first business, people kind of scoffed at us. They're like, why are you opening up in downtown Davenport? And we're like, we think something's here. We think something's happening down here. And then, the work of other operators, the work of the Downtown Partnership kind of coming together with the city, it snowballed.
All these bands passing through, and it just became sort of a sneaky cool place to live.
And so when you think about the live music scene that we have down here right now, that doesn't happen without Common Chord.
If I had never stepped foot into Common Chord, for example, I don't know if I would have continued with music. I don't know that there's enough opportunities out there, and that's why Common Chord and this local scene are like almost one and the same.
I think it was a spark for sure in starting some other venues. I mean, you look around the Quad Cities now, and it's almost hard not to run into live music.
There's tons of music everywhere. Like, we have a show or open mic or something every night. Now that's a stat that's like totally confirmed. Every single night, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you can see music somewhere in the Quad Cities. So like, people that grow up here, we are exposed to music at a high level.
The downtown area has been very vibrant and just a lot of things offered that are new and unique.
There are a lot of people, if you come down here on 3rd Street or 2nd Street, a lot of things going on. There's a lot of bars, there's a lot of restaurants, there's a movie theater now. We've got the connection to the river, we've got the breweries, we've got the huge farmers market. I think if you really spend some time downtown, just one day, you see a vision of what's going on downtown Davenport.
One of the things we say is that downtown's resurgence has come on the backs of the arts, and I think that that is absolutely true.
Hello, Quad Cities. You don't want to miss all the talent at Alternating Currents in the downtown Quad Cities.
Yeah, we're here to kick off Alternating Currents in downtown Rock Island. Huge cultural event for the entire Quad Cities on both sides of the river. And we're here with the partners here, the Cultural Trust, sponsoring this event.
A lot of our partners that we work with throughout the year are here tonight. The Rock Island Parks Department, Quad Cities Cultural Trust, our legacy partners here in the cultural scene of the Quad Cities. And, you know, this is fun for us to see what everybody's got to offer.
And Alternating Currents is the moment of the summer where the whole Quad Cities, all the downtowns are celebrating live music. We see all these venues, all these local and touring bands come into town, and it seems like the streets just come to life.
But it's really an opportunity for us as the Quad Cities to come together and showcase, the different character and vibes that you can experience here.
Alternating Currents is the epitome of collaboration. You know, it's infusing our bi-state region with all of the things that make us both educationally and economically strong.
So in a nutshell, Alternating Currents is it's a placemaking event that's all about discovering what's really cool about your community, and it's done through the lens of the arts, and specifically music, visual arts, comedy, film.
All the restaurants and businesses essentially become venues for the weekend, and there are different performances, things throughout the weekend that happen there, so you're really just kind of bouncing around downtown, getting to explore.
My wife and I like taking the rickshaw up and down 2nd Street and just stopping and checking out a random comedy show or a random concert or an art gallery event.
Throughout the weekend at all the events, I'll be just riding people back and forth from all the bars and the events going on.
Downtown Davenport Partnership launched Alternating Currents in 2017 as a new festival, new concept in the Quad Cities, and it has grown each year since then, with now more than 40 different venues participating in Alternating Currents.
Genesis of AC came from River Roots Live. And so, which was a phenomenal festival that I'm super proud of that we were a part of. And so for years we were on the riverfront doing this and bringing families down and experiencing something awesome on the riverfront in the Quad Cities and Davenport.
The strategic plan has just always said more activity, bring more down here, and so it's just the culmination of many years worth of work.
You go to a park, you plant your chair, you point it at the stage, you go get a beer.
You know, the beer tent's there, the food's over here, yeah.
You know, the bands get bigger and bigger throughout the day, and then at night you have your big headliner. You know, at the time when I came on, it was a free event to the public, and so we were really only making money on our beer sales. And so if it rained, we didn't sell beer because people didn't show up. That last River Roots Live,
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever been quite so deflated at a festival as I was that year. We have covered stages, so unless we have a hurricane, the show will go on. It rained and rained and rained. So much that people didn't show up, but not quite enough that we could actually collect on our insurance for the weather. And so, we didn't do well that year.
Our mission was really to make sure that people experience downtown, though. And that was one thing that River Roots did not do a very good job of.
And so we actually traveled to Austin a couple times, went to South by Southwest. We went to Appleton, Wisconsin for Mile of Music.
And we kind of took both of those and mushed them together, put our own flavor on it, and created Alternating Currents, in addition to kind of its genesis from River Roots Live. So when you like stir all that together, it really is unique, especially when you add in the fact that it's by state, multi-city, technically multi-county while we're at it. Nobody does that. I think it may be one of one in that regard.
Everybody loves a good river reference around here, you know, with currents. You know, the electricity, you know, part of it, you know, we wanted that kind of, you know, it's electrical, it's, you know, it's
Energy,
you know,
yeah.
all these things. And then I kind of dove into my kind of geeky side too, and like, you know, when you're talking about power, alternating currents, the power in your house is constantly going back and forth. That's what alternating currents do. And so the idea is that you're going to move throughout the downtown back and forth. That first year of alternating currents, you know, people are constantly like, I don't get this. You know, they're talking to me about it, and I'm like, just go.
Just show up.
Just show up.
Grab the map.
One, it's free. Just show up, and you'll figure it out.
I mean, we're putting money right back into the pockets of the businesses that keep our organization going. I mean, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Max is full of people right now. That's awesome, and that's one of the reasons we set out to do this.
It's almost like when I was a kid, I loved these choose your own adventure books where you got to kind of pick the page where you wanted to go next. And that's what Alternating Currents feels like to me.
You know, you download the Alternating Currents app, you see this diverse schedule of all of this different arts and culture, music, comedy, film activities happening. And you can create your own schedule based on your, you know, on your tastes.
Having businesses serve as venues was a really novel idea. Not that it's never been done before, but small business is it's the backbone that all those creative things get to kind of center around. Well, it's a welcome mat in many ways to those who live here, to feel comfortable to come and explore a place that maybe they think they know, but will discover inevitably something that they don't.
Every time that you come to it, it morphs a little bit and it takes on a little different flavor depending on who you're experiencing, what you're doing, and those kind of things. So it brings a whole different crowd to downtown that I think can only help but elevate all of us when they get a chance to see kind of the little jewels that are hiding down here.
Festivals like Alternating Currents also serve as a calling card to the nation of, you know, what kind of community are you? And if this is the only way I get to know you or see you once a year, I think it's really important that we put our best self out there, and this is certainly a way to do that in a really creative way, in a really authentic way, and in a way that you can evolve very naturally over time.
The wonderful thing about Alternating Currents is that we use local creators to help curate the lineup. And so it's not, while I get to hold the title of festival director, it really is a community festival where we work with all kinds of creators and experts in their field, because we have a great and thriving arts community here. And so we just tap into some people naturally that can help create the best lineup that speaks to the most people.
It's really driven by the individuals who care and who want to see change and make it happen with their own two hands. While the institutions like, you know, Common Core, like the Figgy, like Quad City Arts, are critically important, and we couldn't do this without them. The truth is that it's the layer beneath that makes it all function. And so in the case of Sean and Muller, you know, he had done so much with Daytrotter over the years. He had done so much with Raccoon, and just the evolution of bringing in talent that otherwise wouldn't be seen in the Quad Cities.
It really is hard talking people into coming to any town, you know, much less Davenport or the Quad Cities. I mean, it's, I always tell everybody it is one of the rarest things to have a band in one city every night. Like, people might think, oh, there's concerts all over the place, but 99.9% of all cities don't get these bands to ever come to them. That band can only be one place on any given night, And you think about, like, if you're thinking about Milwaukee or Chicago, like, there's, I don't know, dozens of venues in that city, like, trying to get that band to play in their venue. And the fact that we can get certain people to come to the Quad Cities and have been coming to the Quad Cities for a long time. I mean, this a lot of times is the only show they play in the state of Iowa.
That's also what makes this festival special too, is that you can then go around, explore, and discover these new acts. But like also the venues themselves, like the Raccoon Motel, which is probably our favorite venue in the United States to play.
It feels so comfortable when we pull up outside of Raccoon Motel, and it's just like, it just has that feeling of like, ah, like we're back. And then, you know, as the night progresses, people filter in, and it's hugs and catching up, and it feels, it's such a community that you guys have built, and it's awesome, and we feel like we're part of that community, and it's,
I feel it so much that we were dancing until 3 in the morning before this interview.
Yeah.
Something about Alternating Currents that we're always really proud of is that it's really a festival designed for you to discover the next big thing. And sometimes that's local, sometimes that's national. A big one would be having booked Julian Baker, who opened for Ben Folds back at the Adler Theater when we were doing shows there. And we had discovered Julian through Mueller, through Sean booking her at a very small venue at the Village Theater, if I'm not mistaken, is where she first played in town. And so to be able to like introduce her to a much broader audience, and then she went on, of course, to do, you know, she's got her super group that she's a part of now.
You know, like I always like try to convince people that's like, don't send me an email 2 years after they were already here and be like, you know who you should book? You should book them. It's like, they've been here 3 times already. Like, you could have seen them 3 times. There were 10 people here. Like, you could have seen them. Now you want them here, but like, that's sort of not when we get people here. We get people here before you knew you wanted them here.
You just never know who that next person will be. And we've got a pretty good track record of finding people that do go on and do some pretty special things on a national stage.
Exciting news, NBC's America's Got Talent casting producer is coming to the Quad Cities for Alternating Currents.
I got the call that there was this idea out here that we were inviting a producer from America's Got Talent.
I never in my wildest dreams thought that would happen. But I was complete surprise. The team at KWQC made that happen. And when we got the phone call of like, hey, do you think that we should do this, or do you think that this is a good fit? We're like, well, yeah, if you can make that happen, sure.
So I'm a casting producer with America's Got Talent. We're going into our 20th season next year on NBC. Creator of our show is also our head judge, Simon Cowell. Him, the other judges, and us as a staff are really passionate about finding talent out in the world and shepherding that into our show, of course, but then after our show as well, finding out what's next. Even just in the last few years, people have come on our show, and as soon as their audition airs, they're #1 on iTunes, or they have their Grand Ole Opry debut.
I was freaking out because I thought unimaginable, right? That our little festival here in the Midwest could capture the attention from America's Got Talent.
Yeah, I mean, truly what brought us here is Alternating Currents.
I just thought that added something so cool and attention to the festival, and excitement with the artists, because they were all, where is he? What does he look like? I want him to come to my show.
While I'm here in the Quad Cities, I'm hoping to find the winner of America's Got Talent. I truly didn't know what to expect. This is my very first time in the Quad Cities, but really in the Midwest for the most part. It's right on the river, it's beautiful. And be able to go from, a family-friendly park environment, seeing amazing singers, and then going to a cool club comedy show, and then going to a kind of psychedelic music show, and like it's just such a cool, like a all-around type of environment. A lot of festivals I've been to are frankly, they're too big. They're a little less personal, or a little less accessible to people. And this is a free festival that anyone in the town or outside of the town can come to. Passion's everything for our acts. You know, the people who do really well and make it far, they love what they do. They love, you know, being in front of an audience, and they love people getting to experience whatever it is they do.
And so it just added this element of like people were bringing it with their performances, because who knew Luke may have been in the audience watching you.
Friedrich Nietzsche said, "Without music, life would be a mistake." And I only know that because I was going to order a Friedrich Nietzsche t-shirt one time, and I saw the quote, and I was probably 18. And I often quote that when people are talking about, well, what is music to you and what does it mean? I said, well, Friedrich Nietzsche said it best, without music, life would be a mistake.
I think music is the most emotional expression that a person can have immediately. You know, there's certainly theater, there's movies, there's a work of art that you might see, but music is that thing that for both the performer and for the audience, you can just have that raw emotion.
You just kind of let it out. And I think that expressive ability with music is what makes it kind of a higher power, which is why it speaks to so many people.
And sometimes we tend to be like, oh, I can never play a guitar, I can never play a piano, I can never do that. But you don't have to love music and be a musician. That is my definition. You can argue with your mom, but like I think the definition of being a musician is, you know what I mean, just appreciating music.
I've always just been drawn to the communal aspect of music, and I think that's why I love doing it and why we love doing it, because we're such good friends. And it's just really special to see a group of people who have never met, and then all of a sudden they're in this moment together.
That you can walk around the city and it's all free shows, and you can hear a kick drum off in the distance, and kind of just your body starts wandering towards it. And then when you get closer, you're like, whoa, this actually sounds really good. Or, you know, maybe it's a genre I normally wouldn't get into, but man, they're really good. And then through that, then you're discovering the new space, whether it's a brewery or a venue or whatever it is.
So I think the interesting aspect of alternating currents to other festivals is the intimacy of it. When you take a restaurant or you take a storefront and you turn it into an impromptu comedy venue or an impromptu concert that isn't necessarily designed for those things, it kind of adds an extra element.
I think there's no better place to see a band than in a 200 cap room. I think this is the exact size of room that you should want to see a band, big or small.
When we first opened, we weren't exactly sure how to, you know, meld into the culture of downtown yet. And they approached us about hosting a band for Alternating Currents. I was like, oh, sure, we can have a band here. I'm like, I don't know where you'll put them because, you know, maybe a guy with a guitar over in the corner or something like that. I don't know, we're kind of small, you know, whatever. They said, no, we want to do it on your loading dock. Okay, well, I guess we could pick that up. It's just weird enough it might work, so we just kind of rolled with it, okay? And Alternating Currents took care of all of that, organization and everything. And then it happened. And we were just like, oh my gosh, this is awesome, right? Like, this is so cool. And to experience the festival and how that really unique venue spot fit into this kind of nomadic experience of what Alternating Currents is, it was perfect because you come around the corner and you hear music, but you're like, where is it coming from? You know, oh, it's back in that parking lot, back over there, whatever. And people would come back and just be like, this is the coolest spot yet, you know, whatever. So our minds were blown, and it was just like, all right, now how do we do this bigger and better?
We do get a lot of new customers from it, and people that haven't been downtown before and haven't been to our businesses before. I think the diversity of music, and a lot of people coming down just because they know there's a festival going on, aren't necessarily familiar, you know, with the bands that are playing, but they're coming down just to check it out, and then they get down here and they're like, oh wow, this is a lot of really cool stuff happening.
When we created Alternating Currents, we were trying to solve a problem. How do you get butts in seats? Like, how do you actually get people in the door to spend money? You know, River Roots Live was amazing, but it didn't support small business very well. It didn't integrate people into the downtown. We would hear businesses complain that, like, yeah, there were a lot of people around, no one walked in and bought anything. In this case, like at Ragged Records and Trash Can Annie's as an example, they book a band. They have an act in their store. There's people walking in and out of there all day with bags coming out spending money. That's really hard to do in a festival setting, because I've seen it in other cities too, where often the festival takes away from small business.
Having the music in our venue brings them not just to shop, but to see music and then to meet friends here and to be able to get great clothes to come to the event and then pick up music to go home to listen to that they didn't even realize that they wanted but loved.
And the diversity of the festival too, because you have different venues and different types of music being played in different venues, brings a lot of different type of people downtown.
I think it's the time when Downtown Davenport feels the most alive of any weekend of the year. The patios get full. Even the spaces that we have that don't have events, we see an uptick in sales. And so it's something internally that we've really gotten excited about.
It's got this hipster vibe, but yet we can bring our families down, and we've got, you know, a film festival going on across the street, and we've got the market out front and people shopping.
Said the live music is super nice. It really sets the vibe when you're going through all the shops. I love how it's taking like the whole street with vendors.
I really like it. I like that it's dog friendly because I usually bring my dog everywhere I go, so that's really nice.
So I've seen people from all different backgrounds and different cultures, different ethnicities, and it's just great for all of us to come together and have one common purpose to build the Quad Cities.
I also love that it's really family friendly. There's not a lot of live music events that you can kind of spread out with all of your snacks and your little ones. So
It's just so great to be able to walk around and just listen out of the corner of your ear and go, oh, there's a band playing here, whether you've checked your schedule or not. And just to go, oh, let's go check this out for a little while. And you see these acts that you might be surprised by.
We play a lot of festivals of different sizes in different cities, and this one, at least for me, I know is my favorite because the music variety here is so special and different. Like a lot of festivals you play, it's kind of the same genre of music. That's why they put bands on there that, you know, sound the same. But here you get to walk around and every band's different. You get a funk band, you get a western band, you get a rock band. And my favorite thing to do after every set we play here is I just wander. I just go out by myself for like an hour.
You went wandering last night.
I went wandering last night.
And I think there's a element of, and I mean this in the best possible way, weirdness here. And weird is my favorite word to describe acts that we work with, but also just people. It just means interesting. It means unique. It means, you know, something that's memorable. So I think there is an element of weird here that is so fun, and that's something you don't get elsewhere.
Sometimes it surprises me what pops off the page or the stage with the weird. You know, Regan Hatfield with American Devil Sound, that is such a unique activation that I don't know that you would find anywhere else. Like, when I try to describe it to people, you have to see it. It's just one of those shows that you have to see.
There's nothing like it in the world, and that's the truth, man. There isn't another show like my show. And it's to get involved with Alternating Currents was, I'm still sort of surprised. It's when you think about American Devil Sound, it's sort of a risky thing. From the very beginning, I think there was certain people that frowned upon even like, wow, why that name, you know? And I'm like, something beautiful can come from something dark. You know, as much as the show has dark overtones, the paintings don't represent that, you know? The story's always, I try to make sure it's a story of redemption. Your experience, art, and a story, and music that goes along with it. Alternating Currents is a great format for that because there's so many. Maybe somebody just comes to see their favorite band and then they open the app and they see something like, what is that? I'm sure even with my show, there's probably people who saw American Devil Sound now only because of the format of Alternating Currents.
This is Quad Cities Live.
Alternating Currents is officially underway. Today on QCL, we'll get a closer look at some of the performers and artists taking part. That includes phenomenal local muralist Atlanta Dawn.
The visual arts are something that can fly under the radar a little bit with how in your face a lot of the other aspects of the festival are.
The Mural Fest is just a really great aspect of the festival because of the lasting impact it makes.
I've always had a natural gift at art. I started very small doing chalkboards and windows storefronts for businesses, and then that slowly progressed into interior murals, and then that progressed into exterior work, and now I'm just doing very large stuff, and I can't believe I'm where I'm at. And then in this festival, Alternating Currents, it was an idea I had to do a mural fest to kind of get beginner artists into doing murals more. I presented the idea to DDP, and they're like, yeah, let's incorporate that with Alternating Currents. We need more of an art aspect.
The alleyway that we did our first mural on is awesome, and it's in the shadow of 2 different breweries, and you can see it from River Drive. And so to be able to show off the artwork itself and that talent, but then it's lasting, after the festival's over, it's still there, and it adds to the flavor of our community forever.
One of the things I've noticed about Quad Cities is there's a lot of opportunity for art around between the artists and the businesses. Artists really get to come in and they get to help kind of define those spaces.
Just this past year, we had a $40,000 budget just for public art, above and beyond Alternating Currents. And so it's that kind of intentionality and vision that I think enables local artists to thrive, because we actually have budgets to support them.
Arts is attracting people, and it is attractive to people. So us in downtown Bettendorf, we are looking at creating a downtown mural. We want people to stop and take a look around and really enjoy their surroundings, right? Rather than seeing how fast we can get from one point to another, let's take some time to walk around, enjoy what artists have created, and just, be in the moment.
The Alternating Currents Festival is underway now, a weekend celebrating music, comedy, art, and film, and much more. Today on QCL, performances from some of the folks taking part, as a producer from America's Got Talent visits the QC specifically to scout some of the area's best artists. And that producer is Luke Swinney, joining us today. Luke, thanks for being here.
It's a festival like no other that I've seen, because it's such a perfect size where you really get to see the city, of course, and meet all these cool people, but also the fact that it's free for the public to go, and it's just a very community-based thing, and that's what we're really looking for is kind of homegrown talent, people who, like I said, they don't have to be professionals, they can have day jobs, but yeah, just talented people with kind of passion behind what they do. We're doing our showcase later on, which I'm really excited for.
So this is just such a cool opportunity. I can't wait to see all the different people come up and give it their best for Luke, and this is just a good experience, period. And
Okay, so this was nuts, and I didn't know how I was gonna pull it off. So I work at Common Core, and we do our Live at 5 series, and there was a big stage in our courtyard. So I'm helping with that. And then I'm a part of the band that's playing that Friday. So already it's crazy. And then we had the America's Got Talent producer. We had a thing, a show thing, and it was in the Redstone room, which is also in Common Core. I was like, hey guys, I can't do sound check because I gotta run. They were like, okay, well just come test your mic real quick because KWQC is right up the street, and it is. It's 30 seconds up the street. And I'm turning it, and I go in, and I check my mic, I'm like, 1, 2, 3, check, we good? And I get back into my car, and I go right back up to TV6, run into and then I have to sing for TV6.
TJ, thanks for being here and welcome back.
Did you bring an instrument? And I was like, no, my instrument's actually at Redstone for the showcase later.
Okay, so what are you gonna be performing for us today? I see you have a microphone and a microphone only.
Right. So I'm gonna do acapella.
And you come to me like a summer breeze.
And then, this is hilarious. So I drove fast down Brady, plug my keyboard in, and do the showcase.
When I think of you, sometimes wanna spend some time with you.
To be honest, that showcase, I made all of that up. Because I was like, what am I doing? And it ended up going okay. But then when I got done, the producer guy, super cool guy, super nice. He ended up following me on Instagram, really cool guy. But he ended up being like, so, start from the beginning. Like, where do you get your influence from? And I got to go back downstairs and play. And so I'm like, yeah, I grew up and I wanted to play music, and yeah. And I wasn't trying to be short, but I was like, dude, come on, I got to get back downstairs and play alternating currents while I'm doing another alternating currents thing. And then he was like, that's all the question I have. And I was like, thank you. I'm just going to leave this piano here. I work here, so I'm just going to run. And then I ran, I got in the elevator. We're doing Sir Duke. And so, like, they were doing the da-da-da-da while I was in that elevator. And I literally jumped back on stage, like, and then right when I come in, I get the mic and I'm like, music is a world within itself. And I was out of breath. And everybody started clapping because they knew I was upstairs. And absolutely wild.
My goodness, you are going to see so many just amazing folks, not only tonight, but for the rest of the weekend.
And QC, that's where the talent is, because that's what I've seen so far, and I'm excited to see more.
Talent is a big word. I like to think of talent with a capital T in my mind, and the way I think about that is the guy that is a professional wrestler in the ring is no less talented than the guy playing saxophone in the acid jazz band.
We have a niche market in the Quad Cities around professional wrestling, with SCW Pro wrestling in town and the history of Seth Rollins, Kobe Lopez in the Quad Cities. We're fortunate to have that as part of our brand, and it's been cool to see professional wrestling, the performative art of professional wrestling, become a key component of alternating currents every year.
Fun fact, I was a huge pro wrestling fan growing up, and so wrestling's like, I already had the appreciation for it. I don't know about the rest of the community, but I love that that is part of our festival.
For the last few years, it's had a place at Wake Brewing in downtown Rock Island, which is a great home for professional wrestling, but it truly brings out all ages to the brewery, people from across the Quad Cities region. It's a break from live music and other forms of art during the festival, and it's just fun to see the crowd's interaction with the wrestlers each year, on the outdoor patio of this bustling brewery.
But that is entertainment gold, it's the energy that they put into the shows, and just being able to have like a wrestling culture here, that we have Black and Brave wrestling here in Davenport. It's just something so unique and different with the Quad Cities that of course we're going to showcase it during Alternating Currents.
As far as each of the different kind of verticals of the event, for lack of a better word, film has really started to grow with the opening of the Last Picture House in downtown, which, to those who don't know, it's an independent movie theater, 2 screens with a outdoor rooftop that's just incredible, and the addition of that really immediately boosted the vitality of that element.
So when you have people, like Scott Beck and Brian Woods and, hometown guys that we're so incredibly proud of and what they've been able to do in their space, the fact that they're, willing to come back to their community and bring partners around the table and invest in downtown Davenport because they could and they wanted to create a legacy. That's just amazing, and we're so not only proud of them, but I think grateful the fact that they were able to do this. We need more of that.
I would say specifically my oldest daughter is now the world's biggest AC fan. Like she made a little film with some friends for a high school project, and she submitted it to the film festival and got selected. She's also a musician, so the music was blowing her mind around here and whatnot. And so, this became a family affair for us, not just like me and my wife and kids, but then Grandma and Grandpa had to come see the movie and do all this stuff. So But I think that maybe there's a lot of people here in the Quad Cities that haven't come down to experience it, to understand that it's not just some hipster concert. It's actually just an amazing festival with things for all ages, and you're gonna find something that fits everybody down here.
Then we've got comedy, and we have this very strong sense of character, I guess, to that whole world. You know, Chris Schlichting helped book all of those events, and he's a well-known comedian in our region, but he also brought a lot of talent from the outside, and for the first time, we had a headlining comedic act at the Capitol this past year.
If I had to think about where comedy ranks in terms of art, I would think it's number one, and the hardest thing to do only because I do it.
So, I was sneaking up behind it, and I must have scared it because it turned, and it was like...
No, I just think it's an underrated form of art to find that almost equation of how you can set up a joke and make a joke work. And not only that, to deal with audience reactions and how you convey a joke and how you say it and what you do with your body language. I think it's not just what people think, oh, you just go up there and be funny, but there's actually a skill and an art to it. I look at the MC as sort of, this is my show. This is my talk show, and you are a guest on my talk show. So I think since I've had that philosophy, I pride myself that I could run shows very effectively and make the comedians' jobs a lot easier that are on the show.
I always thought that Alternating Currents was just like a comedy festival because I'm a comedian, so I've seen people do it. But now that I'm in it and I'm on like the app and I'm looking at all the different events, I'm so excited to see these different artists, like musicians, and try all the different food here, because I haven't really gotten a chance to explore Davenport, and it just kind of feels like a really fun, curated like list of places to check out and people to check out. So I'm hoping to meet a lot of new people from all over the country and from around the area and get to know what Davenport's all about.
The Quad City Symphony puts on Riverfront Pops, which is just a beloved community event. It's a legacy event here in the Quad Cities, and so many people attend that event.
Festival is an annual event here downtown Davenport at LeClaire Park, and it brings a lot of people together with some wonderful music using the symphony and the theme, and this year it's Led Zeppelin, I believe.
We have planned and worked with the Quad City Symphony to promote Riverfront Pops, regardless of if they're on our weekend or not, but certainly during Alternating Currents, we see a boost in foot traffic downtown. We worried that the Pops concert would interfere with some of the programming that we were doing with Alternating Currents. Certainly we're free, they're ticketed. We would never want to, compete with each other, but we've had those conversations with leadership at Quad City Symphony, and it ends up really just adding to both of our events because people do attend both. And it gives us an opportunity to cross-promote. Again, that's so important in a way that we can leverage each other's audiences. But I love to see the Riverfront activated in a way that we could never produce with our budget in Alternating Currents. So it's always nice to see Riverfront Pops land on our weekend and find a way to partner with them and kind of build on each other's audiences. When Quad City Arts approached us to put silent disco in the Sky Bridge, that's an idea that I don't think we would have ever thought of. There's been some activations there throughout the year. We see a lot of fitness people like run the stairs at the Sky Bridge, but to put something like the silent disco in the Sky Bridge just activates what is a treasured community space for me. I love the Sky Bridge. When I was in high school, I got my senior pictures taken in the Sky Bridge. Our community maybe doesn't appreciate it in the same way, so it's always fun to activate spaces like that so people can start to see, oh, like this actually is cool. Of course, the visuals. I always love standing on the ground and watching the silent disco from the ground, because you kind of look up there and you're like, what are all those people doing? And they're dancing, and it's fun when you're in it, but it's also fun to see when you're on the ground. I'm actually surprised about the type of people that go to the silent disco. It's all ages. It's maybe not what you would expect the audience to be, but we always joke that we capture some really like fun moments with people in the Skybridge, where there's this running joke where it's like, oh, you did not see me there. I'm like, I saw you there.
So we are here at the end of the festival. It's been such a fun time, and I've been just so pleasantly surprised at just how interesting and cool and different this festival is. I truly haven't seen anything like it across America. A lot of people don't realize how much work goes into these festivals. So bravo to the team who put all this together. Could not have had a warmer welcome into the Quad Cities. And I am just really looking forward to coming back.
We set out with a goal to make a sustainable model that put businesses first in the context of providing platforms for artists to be their genuine selves, that then translates into this calling card to the world that we are a place that supports the arts nationally, locally, and we do it through this small business methodology in a place that's really special, that's like nowhere else and cannot be replicated anywhere else. And we achieved that. That's nuts.
So when people are here for Alternating Currents, I mean, one of the big things that we want as a takeaway is not only for that content to be just off the charts and something that people are really connecting with, but we want that experience to be something that's memorable. So they take that back to the communities that they live in and they talk about ACQC. It becomes something around the water cooler where they're like, hey, you gotta go experience the Quad Cities.
If you can hit all of our downtowns and all of our cities via Alternating Currents as that vehicle, then that's a great thing.
The reason I ran for city council when I ran 10 years ago is I said, I want to build a city that when my kids graduate from high school or college, they will choose to stay in Davenport because it's a great place to live. And I watch the Skybridge go up, and I watch all of these things happening in the downtown, and you see the seeds are planted. And so building a great downtown culture, building a great riverfront, I think provides that opportunity, makes Davenport a place that when people are looking at what does their future look like, they decide that they want to stay in Davenport.
There's so much momentum that's happening, not only in downtown Davenport, but throughout the entire Quad Cities region. And if you were going to list it out, there's amazing things happening.
So one of the things I've really tried to drive on the city council is improving the riverfront. And so currently we're just getting ready to approve the contract for our Main Street landing, which is going to be unquestionably the most beautiful park in the state of Iowa and probably the Midwest.
Yeah, vision has always been similar to how Mary J. Daley Park and the Bean and et cetera, how those cities like Chicago built incredible parks and saw property values increase, greater interest in business, larger visitorship. And it's the same idea.
So we want to make sure that we are showcasing what Bettendorf has to offer in our region, and we are attracting those people to come out of their comfort zones, if you will, and come into our downtown. We're a growing downtown. We anticipate more growth in the future with more multi-res, possibly a amphitheater down there. So we want to make sure we're continuing to be a part of the arts and the culture that Alternating Currents is building.
There's a tremendous amount of momentum here. We need to leverage that as a region. We need to leverage that within our individual communities. We need to bring investors together. We need the private sector and the public sector working together for one kind of unified and common goal, and that is to make this the absolute best place to visit, live, experience, learn, invest in, all of the things that we're trying to do. If we're not taking that approach holistically, then we're just not going to move our community forward.
all of the progress that we've made over the last 20 years and have really made the downtown a place where people want to work, people want to live, and when they're thinking about their plans for the night, they want to come downtown and they want to eat dinner and experience the arts and experience the culture that we've made. I think that the cool thing about this is that downtown is the fastest growing neighborhood in the city of Davenport.
Events require investment, and we need more investment in those events.
Well, I work for an organization that has invested over $18 million unrestrictedly into this area over the last 2 decades, and what we have seen from that is growth, where we want to use these spaces that the cities have provided to the region, and we want to use them for things that people want to attend.
I think it's important just that the community recognizes that they had a part in creating this music scene, and they have a part in keeping it alive. I would encourage people always to really keep an eye on the calendars that are out there that show what's going on every day, every week, every month.
You plant something to see it grow. And like the people before us planted a foundation so that this newer generation of artists can grow. And I think our job as artists now, and just my newness to it, we plant whatever we're learning, whatever we can give that next generation of artists, and hopefully they can keep the process going so that the Quad Cities is a big old flower patch of just talent.
I just think Alternating Currents has the potential to really be a star of our community, just this bright light. I hope it instills community pride.
I hope that someday I run into somebody in Seattle or wherever, and they're like, "Where are you from?" I'm like, I'm from the Quad Cities or Davenport, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's where Alternating Currents is," right? Like, I want that to happen. One of these days, it's going to, and where it just gets a brand that's so big that it can't be ignored. And that would be the next goal, is to get there. But that'll take patience and investment and time, and it has to happen organically, but I do think we can get there.
We're on a space rocket on our way to the stars, on infinite view, a ray of light in the dark. You spark my ignition, blow up when you're with me. We are a space riders, we are going deep. Come on.